Okay, we are going to go through the process of how to do a AI PA read. So open on my computer, I have a list of all the PA reads that we are going to use. I have my AI voice generator. Using this website, we're able to change the voice. So we usually like to use Chris. He has a conversational speech. We may be able to change the voice. We'll talk about it in class, but pick whatever voice I have asked you to use. As you go through, you are able to copy the PA read that is written on the script. You're just going to paste it here in the text space, and you are going to generate the speech. A few things before you generate the speech, you're able to edit the settings. And so make sure that the stability is at 31%. Similarity is at 75%. Style exaggeration is at 0%. And that speaker boost is toggled on. If any of this changes, I will let you know before you start working on it, or I'll have it listed in the Canvas assignment. Once you have those, you've double checked the numbers for each of those sections, you can generate the speech. This may take a minute depending on how many tabs you have open and your Wi-Fi connection, but once you generate the speech and it is finished loading, you'll be able to, it'll automatically start playing the PA read, or you'll be able to listen to the PA read. Once you have listened to the PA read, it sounds good, you're going to push the download button here. It should download automatically, and it's going to be called something like this. It's called 11 Labs, and then it'll have some sort of number, the date. I usually like to have a folder open. This one is called PA Reads Audio. And you can, from your downloads, you can drag them in, and then you can title them things. Those two I'd already dragged in, and I titled them Canes and Central Bank. So you can title it by clicking on it, doing a 2-finger click, rename, and then you can title it whatever you want. From here, I also want to specify that I have downloaded my sponsor logos as well. I downloaded several. For this example, we're only doing 2, but just be aware that the easiest way to do this is to firstly download all of your sponsor logos, then go generate all of your PA reads and download them individually, putting them into some folders that are going to be easy for you to find. Once you have done that, you can get out of the internet and you are going to open up Premiere Pro. If you have never used Premiere Pro, and from your Launchpad, you can search for Creative, and you can either install, or if you have, you can open it. And for those of you who've never used Premiere Pro, I'm going to show you how I like to set up my screen. That does not mean that is how you have to use it. So we are going to start a new project. I am going to call this one PA Read Practice. And then I'm going to create. At the very least, yours should show up like this as a brand new project, where you have a program up top, you have a timeline, you have your navigation tools. From here, I can also click on Window, and I can open up some new workspaces. So the one thing that we want to have opened up is Window, and we want to open up a project. It may show up here as like a new box. You can adjust that by clicking into the title, and you can move it around. It'll highlight different spaces for you to put it. I personally like to have mine over on the far left side. In your project panel, that is where you are going to be able to add your media. If your screen has some other panels available that you want to take away because they are providing too much clutter, you can click on the little 3 lines and you can close the panel. So now that I have my project open and I want to import my media, I can either import it through here. I think it's easiest if we just click into our folder. I'm going to highlight everything I want to import. I'm going to drag it into my project. Depending on how many items you are making, this can get really cluttered. So instead of seeing all of these logos at once, I like to put them into different folders in here as well. So I'm going to do a 2-finger click down in an open space. I'm going to click New Bin. I'm just going to call this Logos. You can see here that my folder is open. So as I move new logos into that folder, they're going to show up indented. If you don't want to see that, you can close the folder. And as you move them in, they won't show up anymore. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to get into my PA Reads Audio. I'm going to do the same thing for my 2 audio files. Again, I like to make new folders doing a 2-finger click. And I like to move those in there because when you're working with 20, 30 different PA reads, it can get very overwhelming very quickly. Alrighty, so moving forward, I'm going to start with my audio files. I'm going to highlight them both. You can do this individually, or you can click on one, hold shift, click on the next to highlight all of them, and you're going to drag them into your timeline. They should show up just one after another in Audio 1 or A1. At this point, you can click into your timeline down here. I know I'm clicked into it because it's outlined in blue, and I can play
Hungry after the
or
game?
pause.
You can now get your canes even.
If you don't want to use these tools up here, you can use your space bar as play and pause as well. I'm going to bring my cursor all the way back. I'm going to turn my sound off so that it's not doing that as we move around. So when I hover over the first audio clip, I can see that it is for canes. So I'm going to go to my logos. I'm going to open up that folder. I'm going to grab my canes logo, and I will drag it in. We can see here that my canes logo has a grid background, so it's going to be transparent up on the video board. But it's not taking up very much space. So there is one more panel that we need to open up. So I'm going to hover over the top. I'm going to click on Window, and I'm going to click on Effects Control. This may open up a new panel like this one did. It may open up somewhere on the other side. It may open up a separate panel that's like hovering in the middle. I personally like to bring it over with my project. So again, I'm just going to grab the name and I'm going to drag it over to the same area that my project is in. And now I have just 2 little tabs over here. So when I'm in Effect Controls, nothing is showing up here. When I click on my logo in the purple box, all of my adjustments will be able to show up. So the scale is what we're focusing on right now. It shows 100 because this is 100% of the size of the logo that I brought in. When I hover over the scale size, I get this little finger with arrows pointing on either side. So I can click and I can drag either way in order to make it smaller or larger. If the clicking and dragging is difficult for you, you can just click into the text, the number, and you can change the size there. And you can try out different numbers until you find one that looks good. We want it to be large because we want it to take up a majority of the video board since the background is going to be just plain black. And then getting back into my timeline, once I'm clicked on my timeline, it's outlined in blue, I can use the plus and the minus arrows to zoom in and zoom out. One thing that I notice here is that my audio clip ends right here around 10 seconds. But my logo is only showing up for about half of it. So in order to lengthen my logo and take longer on the video, I can hover over the end and I'm going to get this red arrow. When I see the red arrow, I can click and I can drag until it gets to the end of the video. Now, as I'm listening to my audio, the logo stays the entire time. I can turn my audio back on.
Hungry after the game? You can now get your canes even faster. Skip.
Great. And now one other thing that I want to do is, so my canes is done, I'm going to go back to my project and I'm going to find my central bank audio. So I'm going to click on it, I'm going to drag it in, and I'm going to put it right next to my canes logo. When I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, so I click on my timeline and I do minus, minus, minus. Oh, not there. My timeline, I do minus, minus. And again, I can see that it's not taking up very much space, so I'm going to hover over the end until I get my red arrow. I'm going to click and drag till I get to the very end. I take my cursor, I drag it somewhere on top of the central bank logo. I click on the logo, and I'm going to close this panel real quick because it's taking up space that I don't want. Then I can click on Effects Controls. If this panel is showing up as pretty small for you, you may get some arrows like this, and that will let you toggle between different tabs as well. So I can click on Effects Control, I can click on my logo, and then again I can change the scale and the size. The last thing that I can do if I choose is I can add music into the background of my PA reads. I like to use instrumental music. A lot of times we'll use instrumental music of popular songs so that there is something playing in the background. It's not quite as boring, but there's no words, so it's not distracting or confusing when listening to the PA read. So for the sake of this activity or this practice, I'm going to pretend like this central bank audio clip is actually just an instrumental song that we downloaded. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to drag it into A2. So now this is below the PA reads, and I can adjust this to make it quieter or louder. I can click on the song and I can do a 2-finger click and I can scroll down until I find audio grain. And here I'm able to change the decibels. So I can make it a negative decibel if I want the song to be quieter. If the song is really quiet and I want it to be louder, I could make it positive decibels. Most of the time when we are doing this, we're going to make it negative decibels because we want the song to be quieter than the PA reads. So I can push OK. You can see down here the nicks where the audio is changing are a lot lower than they are in our PA read. That's telling us that it's going to be quieter in the background than the words that our AI generator made for us. After you do that, you should listen to it again, play it so that you can adjust the audio up or down as needed, and make sure that it sounds good behind our PA reads. When you are finished and you are ready to export or finalize our PA reads, I'm going to teach you a little keyboard shortcut. I will have this on the Canvas page as well. But you are going to bring your cursor all the way back to the very beginning. Once you're at the very beginning, you're at 0 seconds. I can tell I'm at 0 seconds because I'm at the very beginning, and over here it shows all zeros. I'm going to click I. It highlights everything in my sequence. I don't want to highlight everything. I just want to highlight one section. If I highlight everything, I'm going to get Canes and Central Bank playing back to back, plus all of this empty space. I will have minutes and minutes of just dead air. So I've clicked I. I'm going to use my keyboard buttons like arrows. I'm going to click down. Then I'm going to click left once. This will ensure that I'm on the Canes logo and then I'm not starting the Central Bank logo yet. So I've gone to the very beginning. I've pushed I, down, left. Now I'm going to click O. That's going to capture just this portion for the Canes PA read. Now I'm going to send it to my media encoder. So once I've done I, down, left, O, I can do Command M. It's going to open up this export portion. I'm going to retitle it. Make sure that you are saving it to a folder that is going to be easy for you to find later. So I can click on this, and I can go back to my desktop. I can find an existing folder. I can make a new folder. And I can make sure that that's where I'm saving it. I want it to save as a video file, an MP4, which is perfect. And then I just click Send to Media Encoder. Don't export. We want to try and save ourselves time. So once you've done that, Media Encoder may take a minute to open up, and it may open up behind your Premiere Pro, like mine did. So I'm going to click here. I can see that it's showing up in my Media Encoder, and it's ready to export. I'm going to get back into Premiere Pro. I like to work in it in full screen. And so now, staying in my sequence, I want to select my next PA read, my Central Bank. So I'm going to click down. I see the Central Bank logo. I, down. My music stops here. I can extend it or I could copy it. So again, I clicked down, I, down, down. I'm going to get all the way to the very end of my Central Bank, and again, I'm going to hit the left arrow once. And then I'm going to push O. So it just selects that PA read and Command M. I can title it whatever I want, make sure it's saving to the right place, video, audio are on, and send to media encoder. Once I've done that for all of the PA reads that you've been assigned, I'm going to go to my media encoder. I can see here they're all showing up, and I can push this green button and it will start exporting them all at once. Once I push the green button, I'm going to see down here what the expected style is. So I can see that there's the black background. This is what it's going to look like on the video board. I can see how long it will take. My computer's running a little bit slow, so it may take slightly longer than we would like. But it's going to export to the correct folders, so long as I set up the folders appropriately. So we're going to wait just a little bit longer. As long as you remembered where you exported these two, you'll be good to go. So now they are finished. I can delete these if I want. I can highlight them, do a 2-finger click, and remove. Yes. And I can exit out of it. And then I can go to my folder, wherever I saved them, and I can find my PA reads. From here, you should upload them onto the Google Drive or wherever I asked you to in class or on Canvas. That way all of our PA reads can be in one place and they can be uploaded onto TriCaster. And that is the whole process of creating our AI-generated PA reads.